Your organization is known worldwide, and we certainly appreciate every facet that you do.
I do believe in what you're doing because I've seen it in my family.
I'm so excited about all the things that, Robert, you guys do with Classical Conversations. It's been a huge blessing for our family.
Grateful for the work at Classical Conversations. You're a leader and you have been in this movement for a long time.
We love Classical Conversations.
I do feel like I have a debt of gratitude to you, your family, all of CC for just the fruit that has come from CC.
I appreciate all that you guys do, both through this wonderful podcast and also through Classical Conversations, which I am convinced is the best education resource out there. Thank you very much for all that you do for the cause of Christ and for our families and for our children. Really, really appreciate it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to an exciting Thanksgiving edition of the Refining Rhetoric podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And as I reflect on 2025 and the blessings that the Lord has given us as homeschoolers and classical educators here at Classical Conversations, I wanted to share with you the top 10 things homeschoolers should be thankful for in 2025. And I hope you do, as our family does, as we sit around the Thanksgiving table, reflect on things that you're thankful for in this past year and sharing it with one another. And so let's practice that together today on the Refining Rhetoric podcast. So the first thing I think we should all be thankful for is educational freedom remains protected. As we see in an era of increasing centralization, homeschoolers continue to enjoy legal protection across all 50 states. And there were attacks this year in Illinois and in Virginia, and I'm sure in other states that I'm not thinking about today, but there are people who want to regulate and ban homeschooling in the United States, and we have to be forever vigilant. So I'm thankful for all those homeschooling leaders and groups have pushed back against those rules. And, this liberty to direct our children's education represents a form of stewardship, the biblical responsibility of parents as primary educators, as God outlined in Deuteronomy 6, 6, and 7. So we stand on the shoulder of pioneers who fought legal battles in the 80s and 90s so that we can educate freely today. I'm thankful for them, and I'm thankful for that educational freedom remains protected, but we have to be forever vigilant. 2, the classical education renaissance. The recovery of classical education methods, grammar, logic, and rhetoric that we've been championing here at Classical Conversations since 1997 is gaining popularity around the United States and around the world. And we know that it will equip a generation with the tools of learning to think clearly and articulate persuasively. And we need that now more than ever. And so this return to time-tested wisdom echoes Jeremiah 6:16, where it says, "Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths where the good way is and walk in it." Classical education isn't innovative, it's restorative. And we just see the outcomes, the fruit of this modern education movement, this woke and weaponized education that have been pushed in our public schools, through the teachers' unions, through the teachers' colleges. And we're just thankful that the classical education renaissance is here and that we are leading it at Classical Conversations. 3, just the resources that equip parents with understanding. One of the things that have just been a blessing at Classical Conversations is that our curriculum is developed by parents who've homeschooled their children through high school for parents who want to do the same. And it is just philosophically rich, practical tools. We are continuing, they call the classical tools the lost tools of learning. We're continuing to find those, refine them, make them better, be able to articulate them and train you with those tools more effectively. And so, we're just super excited about all of these additional resources that parents have today that really should make homeschooling easy for everyone. Not that the homeschooling itself is easy, but that you can have confidence that you can do it well because these tools are there, that the tools make it easy for you. Of course, raising children is always going to be difficult, which is why outsourcing it to the government has been such an easy sell for the communists and socialists. Hey, we'll raise your kids for you. You don't have to worry about doing that. Trust the experts. Well, now we've got so many resources, homeschoolers, that you can be the resource experts. And as Hosea 4:6 warns, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And equipped parents make confident educators who can articulate their vision and defend their choice with clarity and wisdom. And I'm thankful for that. Hey everyone, interrupting today's episode to talk about my new book, Woke and Weaponized, co-authored with Alex Newman, a Classical Conversations dad, how Karl Marx won the battle for American education and how we can win it back. From Karl Marx's 1848 call for free education in public schools to today's UNESCO-driven global agendas, the government school system has been a slow-motion revolution, shaping generations to serve the state, not God or liberty. And it didn't happen overnight. The ideas of Owen, Mann, Dewey, and the Frankfurt School infiltrated classrooms over decades, replacing classical learning with indoctrination, dependency, and cultural Marxism. We want to show you how to rescue your family from this broken system. And lots of research has gone into this book. It's one that you're going to want to pick up and get for a friend. It's coming out in January of 2026. We're working on a pre-order date, so keep your eyes open for Woke and Weaponized, how Karl Marx won the battle for American education and how we can win it back. Coming to an inbox near you soon. God bless, and let's get back to the show. The fourth thing that we can be thankful for as homeschoolers is unprecedented resource abundance. You know, at Classical Conversations, of course, we love our curriculum and think it's the best, but we know that there's other resources out there in curriculum, from individual courses, online classes, recorded lectures, YouTube, Khan Academy, all sorts of different options out there for parents for additional resources to help us clarify what needs to be done, or maybe your student is passionate about something outside of that core curriculum that you want to pursue, and so it's just great to see the abundance of resources and just these individuals who love children, want to see our country restored, and they're out there putting out information for you to help you be a confident homeschooling parent, and that's just exciting. The growth of Classical Conversations communities and groups. Homeschooling is no longer isolating. We all laugh when someone says, "What about socialization?" Well, of course, at Classical Conversations, we've been answering that question since 1997. We have over 2,000 communities here in the United States, almost 1,000 communities international. And, as Ecclesiastes 4, 9, and 10 reminds us, two are better than one. And homeschooling communities embody this wisdom practically. I'm thankful for the tutors and the directors who step up and lead communities, are just all of our support staff at Classical Conversations. We have nearly 1,000 people supporting these 3,000 global communities that we have, and it's just such an exciting time to be part of Classical Conversations. The sixth point is colleges are actively recruiting homeschoolers. I was just on a phone call with a Grand Canyon University when they brought homeschool leaders together to talk about how they can better serve homeschoolers. Obviously, there's schools like Patrick Henry, Liberty University, New St. Andrews, Hillsdale, and a whole bunch of others. Southeastern University, who we have a strong partnership with, that are actively recruiting homeschoolers. Why? Because they're smart. They graduate. They're good alumni. They know they're going to be a value add to their university's campus. And so the stereotype has inverted. When I went to school, there were literally state-run universities in our country that would not accept a homeschooler, period. I could have had a perfect SAT score, which I didn't, but they would not have let me in if I did. And so universities are recognizing that homeschoolers bring intellectual curiosity, self-direction, and maturity. And so excited about that. And groups like Classical Learning Tests, the CLT, which is helping give college entrance exams that reflect what you've been teaching to your kids instead of the woke nonsense and the ACT and SAT. And for those who weren't paying attention, early in November, UC Davis released a study where 1 out of 8 freshmen are taking remedial math there. And that's including math majors, where they are taking math courses that they should have learned in middle school because they are not prepared for college math. Parents, you are doing a great job. That's why colleges are actively recruiting your students. This integration of faith and learning. For so long, Christians believed the lie straight from the devil's mouth that education could be a neutral endeavor. I believe pastors are starting to understand this is not true. They're preaching it from the pulpit. And more importantly, that parents are realizing that this is not true. That secularization of math and of science, it isn't a neutral position. It is a pagan position where it undermines the credibility of the Bible by saying that God does not need to exist. But we know through classical Christian education that everything points back to the glory of God. And educating our children in a way that glorifies God is in fact an act of worship. And, again, Deuteronomy 6:7, we need to teach them about the Lord when you sit at home and when you walk along the road. This is about families doing life together. That is the vision the Bible casts for Christian education. And just like the flexibility, this is the 8th thing I'm thankful for, the flexibility for family discipleship. Of course, parents are responsible. They're primarily responsible for this, but we can do this in community with other believers that we have online groups like the PRS, Public Reading of Scripture, that Classical Conversations offers every single week. We have the opportunity to bring in our grandparents, to bring in leaders in our community, to have our kids be mentored by others. That family discipleship through homeschooling is so much more broad. But as a parent, you got to choose who those leaders are. If you send your kids to an institution, the institution decides who they are, and they may or may not, believe in your values. They decidedly can't teach biblical values because it's illegal in the United States. And so just that flexibility of family discipleship, that as homeschoolers, we're not tied to a building, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that we can go on field trips and do all sorts of things together. And the 9th thing is just this protection from cultural pressures that we're able to offer. It's a gift, really, that we're giving our children. Mine are, almost 11, 9, and 5.5 now. And so, we need to be able to protect our kids from this culture. The numbers are going down in a good way, but something like 20% of Gen Z has identified as LGBTQ. 60% don't believe lying is wrong, according to Barna. We know that only about a third can read at grade level. Only about a third can do math at grade level. Something only like 1 in 5 have any sense of history or geography. And so us as parents were able to preserve our culture, strengthen our family, create this idea of legacy by homeschooling, and really be able to introduce with wisdom these ideas that the world is brainwashing so many young people with today because their parents just aren't paying attention. Hey everyone, interrupting today's episode to tell you about an exciting new accredited graduate certificate for Classical Conversations parents in the classical studies. So this 12-hour credit course through SCU is just launching. You can dive deeper into the trivium with a PhD guided discussion of core texts of classical Christian education. This is perfect for the homeschooling parent wanting an academic credential and a pathway to our full master's degree. Small cohorts make sure that you get a dedicated SEU professor and personalized attention. And of course, we always acknowledge the prior classical education work that you have been doing. So go to the show notes today and secure your spot for this new 12-hour credit graduate certificate in classical studies. Now, let's get back to the show. And the 10th thing is just this multi-generational impact that we are seeing through classical conversations and homeschooling, where we've got second and third generation homeschoolers. Adults who are homeschooled are choosing now to homeschool their children at a significantly higher rate than the general populace. That this generational faithfulness reflects that biblical pattern of wisdom that parents are supposed to pass on to their children, and grandparents are supposed to pass on to their grandchildren, that we see in Psalm 78, 4-7. And that the fruit of these families demonstrates that homeschooling just isn't an educational choice, but a culture building endeavor. And it's just a blessing to have. And the bonus thing that I'm super excited about is I finished reading my book, Woke and Weaponized, How Karl Marx Won the Battle for American Education and How We Can Win It Back, because this is going to be a tool for you to understand what's really going on behind the scenes. What is the worldview of the public school system that is inherent to the system? How did we get to where we are today, where, like I said, 1 in 8 students at university are taking remedial math, and children can't look between their legs anymore and figure out what sex they are? That we are exposing the truth, and that's going to be available for order late December, early January for pre-order, and mid to late January for shipping. So be sure to check that out on Amazon and check out the advertisements for those as we go forward. So C.S. Lewis observed that the task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts. And homeschooling in 2025 represents both perseverance and cultivation, holding the fast to permanent things while adapting means to changing times. And as we give this thanks this season, we recognize that these freedoms and opportunities are gifts requiring faithful stewardship. Our gratitude should move us to action, educating excellently, supporting other families, defending educational freedom, and raising children who know truth, love goodness, and create beauty. The classical and Christian tradition teaches us that education's aim is virtue, at forming human beings who flourish by living according to their created nature. In 2025, homeschoolers continue this ancient and vital work, and for that, we have much to be thankful for. Thank you for tuning in. Please share in the comments what you're thankful for this year in homeschooling. I'd love to hear from you. And please share this episode with a homeschooling friend, because we all need encouragement, even in our family, as we wind down this semester. It's always those things that you wish you had done and the things that you just didn't get to. And those can be nagging in the back of your mind. But we have so much to be thankful for as homeschoolers and as classical educators. So God bless you and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for listening to Refining Rhetoric with Robert Bortins. Want more? Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. You can also follow us on social media to continue the conversation, and visit classicalconversations.com/rhetoric to find out how you can join a local homeschool community.